Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. Daily Chelsea news is back post US tour. I'm currently in a hotel room in Montreal. It's my final night before we fly back to London, and I'll be at the Chelsea-Manchester City game when we open our Premier League account this weekend. Today, we've got some interesting stories. We've got the drama, the chaos, the saga, whatever it's being called. It is just, in my eyes, a complete and utter mess. We're going to discuss the latest with Conor Gallagher's move to Atletico Madrid. I thought we'd put this one to bed, but if I'm making a Chelsea news video and I'm ignoring what is currently happening, then I wouldn't be doing you guys justice with updating you first thing in the morning. Make sure you are subscribed to the George Benson football channel. And if you're enjoying these updates post-US tour, smack a like on this video. We're also going to discuss some pay rises, some new contracts which basically feel like new signings, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the latest regarding Joao Felix, Victor Osimhen, and then we're going to start to throw some curveballs out there as the transfer window goes on. I think my position on what Chelsea need in this transfer window is very much going to remain the same. But first of all, we've got to discuss here, Conor Gallagher has got himself back to London. At this point in time, this is not where Conor probably wanted to be. It's not really where Conor expected to be. And this whole thing, to be quite honest, has just become so odd as to what is going on here. And I think the meat and potatoes of it, the crux of the whole thing, is that Chelsea and Atletico Madrid will have had some kind of gentleman's agreement, which basically, in legal terminology, means absolutely nothing but bullshit. Atletico are like, well, we're gonna give you that for him, but are you gonna do this for us? You scratch our back, we'll scratch yours kind of thing. As we know with Gallagher, the contract is agreed, the fee with Chelsea is agreed, all parties want this to happen, which is why now all of these deals, be it the Osimhen deal that is off, the Joao Felix deal to come to Chelsea, and Gallagher to Atletico Madrid, they're all now considered separate deals. But it's funny how even the reporting behind all of this is it's gone from like all of the deals are linked to now it's separate deals. So this is why this is such a mess, because even if the Osimhen deal was off, okay, cool, but then why is Gallagher not being announced as an Atletico Madrid player? The recent updates that we've got is Conor Gallagher on his way back to London on a private flight now. This was probably about 12 hours ago when you guys are watching this video first thing in the morning on Wednesday. Chelsea wanted him to return as Atletico deal still in standby. All done between Conor and Atleti, medical and documents included, but no final signatures from Atletico. So it isn't even that Gallagher's not signed the contract. It is Atletico Madrid are not pushing this one through because they want the money from Chelsea for one of the players that they're trying to get rid of. And it's absolutely crazy this, you know, because I think if Atletico Madrid hadn't gone and just spent 75 million to go up to 95 million to sign Julian Alvarez, then I don't think this would be an issue. I think they would just look for someone else to buy Samu Osimhen. But the reality of the situation is, right, and this is where Chelsea's strategy can come into more scrutiny. There are not many clubs in world football that will look at a 20-year-old Samu Osimhen and be like, yeah, we're just going to throw 35 million at a guy that couldn't even play for Atletico Madrid, scored 8 goals on loan. You don't spend 35 million quid and be sure about that signing. This is why Atletico Madrid are digging their heels in here and they're holding fire with signing Gallagher's contract because they've not got their end of the gentleman's agreement with Chelsea. Because Chelsea were the ones willing to take the gamble on a 20-year-old striker that they wanted to sell. And at first they were like highballing because they know that sometimes Chelsea pay these 80 million euro fees. It's absolutely crazy the way that this deal has gone. And at the moment, we're hearing still the same things from Joao Felix. He wants to come to Chelsea. Jorge Mendes and Chelsea, they're negotiating a deal. And Atletico Madrid are still looking for something along the lines of 60 million. They're not going to get that. Even 50 million euros. I don't think Chelsea want to pay it. I think if anything, Chelsea are only willing to do this Joao Felix deal if it's going to cost them the same amount of money that they were willing to spend on Omarodion. And I think the issues with Omarodion weren't even that the player didn't pass a medical. I think there was something wrong with his ankle, but it was also something along the lines of Chelsea wanted to buy 50% of his image rights or something. Like, the whole thing is just such a combobulation, or a discombobulation, I think is the correct word. It's a mess. It's words that I don't even know and don't even exist in the dictionary kind of mess, to be quite honest, at this point. But something that certainly is not a mess right now for Chelsea Football Club is the fact that we have got 9 more years, yes, that's 5 and that's 4, 9 more years of Cole Palmer at Chelsea Football Club. This, if anything, is the best news that we have heard out of our club all summer long. And if you still haven't hit the like button, then what are you waiting for? Because this is absolutely mega. In my opinion, the best player in the Premier League last season has said that he's delighted to sign a new contract. He can't wait for many more years and success at our club. That is juicy. That is sumptuous and divine. It's brilliant stuff. And it might not be the only new contract that will be signed very soon. Nicholas Jackson is also reportedly in line for a pay rise. And when you look here, there's some figures that we're just going to throw up on the screen. I'm not entirely sure if this is fully accurate to the nearest 1,000 or even 10,000. But it's definitely true that when you compare the average wages of players in the Roman Abramovich era to that of this new Clear Lake era, Chelsea have done incredibly well in a footballing age where wages keep going up. In 2 years, to have gone from having the average salary of around 150, 200,000 to below 60k is amazing business for Chelsea from a business side of things. And I can already see you typing here. And I'm absolutely going to address both sides of this coin. Chelsea were winning Premier Leagues. Chelsea were winning cups. We were winning European cups when we had these players on £200,000 a week. So I think the additional question to add on to this here, which at the end of the day, we know that Chelsea needed to stop paying players that much money if they weren't good enough. Yes, that's one side of this coin. But at the same time, the question is that if you want to be successful, and this is where the definition of success comes into question, if you want to be successful, you've got to pay the best players, the best wages, because that's what they want and that's what they deserve based on all of the revenue that there is in the sport as a whole. So the debate here is the strategy that Chelsea have done, which is to get young players that haven't proven anything yet, so quite rightly they can't be signing 300 grand a week deals. You get these players in at the really low salaries that are obviously highly incentivized when they do well, which I think is also something that needed to be put in place in all clubs for a very long time. Players have been overpaid and then all of a sudden they disappear. The quality disappears. They still have these incentivized bonuses afterwards. But what Chelsea have managed to do here is pretty amazing in such a short period of time. But it has been at the detriment to Champions League qualification and winning trophies. So the success of this whole financial reboot of the club, we're going to, in 5 years' time, if we've not won anything, then it's going to look like a disaster and it will be a failure for the club. And I think when you look at the Cole Palmer raise, and if he's on 130 grand a week and is now one of the highest paid players in the squad, not only does he, A, deserve to be probably the most paid player in the squad because he's the best player, but the fact he's now up there means good. The club are going to be giving players that have signed these long contracts pay rises when they deserve it. That is a brilliant model that I can back as long as it keeps translating to wider Chelsea success. I would love to hear your thoughts on this whole debate in the comments down below, because I've seen a few videos, people talking about Chelsea's idea of success now. I watched Rory's video, Rory Jennings' recent video, and it's a good video, and I understand Rory's passion. I understand the way that Rory feels about how the word success has changed hands in a way at Chelsea Football Club when it comes to what the club believes success to be. These new owners do want to succeed. I don't think they've come into Chelsea just to let the club rot, and I can still understand why all of these changes and the transfer policy At the moment, we haven't seen the successes of that, but we could do. And when you look at the ages of the players that we've got, if they do develop with the right tutelage, we should do, as well as could do. So moving forward, Nicholas Jackson also being offered a new deal. This is great news. And I think when you've got Kendry Pires coming into the club, Esteval Willian, two of the brightest talents in the world, these guys will be with us till 2033. And even if they're not, as long as they keep playing at the levels that they are now, we could even, if we have to sell them, because we're not in the Champions Leagues and they want to leave, at least we're going to get mega bucks for them. Which again, I'm not fully on board with this, but I'm starting to understand it and I'm starting to see now what is going on here at the club. We move on from all of this wage talk. Cole Palmer signing a new deal, great news. Conor Gallagher, messy news. And Nicholas Jackson, I think great news. And Chelsea have never left the race for Victor Osimhen. I feel as though this Victor Osimhen saga, do you remember? If you've been a long time subscriber of this channel, do you remember back in the day I'd made those videos and I was like, why Kai Havertz will sign for Chelsea and then he did? Why Timo Werner would sign for Chelsea then he did? It doesn't feel as though any transfer rumour, saga, we're interested but, has anything ever dragged on as much as this Victor Osimhen to Chelsea story has dragged on? Interest has always been and remains there, but Osimhen's still only open to leaving on a permanent transfer and not reducing his salary. No changes so far. This basically could have been the same story reported here from Fabrizio Romano for about 2 years. Maybe even more. I think we even wanted him before Napoli bought him and he went to Serie A. So with Chelsea and Victor Osimhen, I think when you look at this squad, and if you watched yesterday's video, which is a great video by the way, where we look at some different options that Maresca could use fitting Pedro Neto into the side. When you talk about Nicholas Jackson, I'm excited for him. I think he's going to score more this season with more creative players feeding him, more chances, hopefully a better outperformance of his XG, because last year he missed a lot. But Osimhen, I think, just takes this Chelsea squad, not just the best 11s, not just the potential 11s, but it makes this squad one of the best. When you've got an elite striker and a marksman who is not only a leader on the pitch, not only a bit older than a Jackson, than a Mark Yu, these players can learn from him. He adds something special. And I'm going to say X Factor, which is a bit old and cliche, but he does add that. And I think if Chelsea somehow let this slip with Napoli still hell-bent on signing Romelu Lukaku, then I think that this was the window that we had to do it. You look at all of the rumours still about Chelsea going to get a transfer ban. Look, if this is the case and these young players don't keep developing, then this is where the long-term project will fail. And I think Osimhen, as much as there is an injury record, as much as a lot of people think he can't do it in the Premier League, he's a physical specimen. I think that he can. I'm sure that he will. And it might not be at Chelsea. It might be somewhere else. But on the flip side of that, Ivan Toney, all right? I absolutely love Ivan Toney. I think he's a brilliant player. Brentford are also still looking for £60 million to sell Ivan Toney this summer. We've seen he's already back at Brentford for pre-season. Got a very warm welcome from Thomas Frank. I think at this point, Brentford are like, we're still very lucky to have him at the club. And I think at the same time, maybe Ivan Toney is even better suited for Chelsea, because there won't be that joining a new league, joining a new culture, joining a new city, new language, although Osimhen's English is very good. But Ivan Toney, I think we cannot sleep on this towards the end of the transfer window. If Chelsea can't get through with this Osimhen deal, whether it is a loan with an obligation, straight up, give him the money, whatever, he signs. Even if Joao Felix still comes, I don't think that is the striker to take away the potential goal burden of relying on Nicholas Jackson all of the time. I think Joao Felix would literally at this point be the signing that is made just so that we get the pure profit from Gallagher. Do you know what I mean? I think it's Felix and a striker. And I think that's what it should be as well. It sounds crazy because we've already bought so many players. But this is the Chelsea that we are now. You know, we've got to get used to the fact that it's just pure chaos if we weren't already used to the fact that it is pure chaos. But anyway, this is your morning update on Chelsea news. It's probably going to be another crazy day. At the time in which you're watching this, I fly 24 hours from the time I'm recording now, which is like 2, 3 in the morning UK time. So I'll try and get one more update for you guys if things happen tomorrow. If not, I'll speak to you back in the UK. Make sure you're subscribed to GBFC. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And I'll catch you guys in a little bit.